Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of One Vision, the FinTech Fuse. This is Theo, your host for today. Joining us is Dr. Martha Boeckenfeld, a wonderful friend whom I still have yet to meet in person, but we have a lot of friends in common running in the circle, and we want to spend the next half hour celebrating her and her new book, Fast Future Blur, that's co-written with a couple of different authors, including our friend Effie. Welcome to the show, Martha.
Thanks a lot, Theo, for giving me and also Efi the opportunity to be with you again. I love talking to you. I love your podcast. I'm a regular, always a breath of fresh air, and also so many different topics you cover, which have a reference to fintech, but nevertheless are always beyond what you expect. So thanks a lot. And I don't dare to show. I'm so proud.
You
So
should be proud. This is
yeah,
amazing.
I'm
Yeah.
really proud and honored that I'm part of this special group who came together to write it. And as Evie said in the last podcast with you, she is the godmother of the book. So we couldn't think of anyone better.
Well, Effie is the godmother for a lot of things. I tend to look to her for she's just well connected. She has such a breadth of knowledge, and she connects the continents, and you as well. So I'm trying to go back in time to the first time we met online. It was LinkedIn, of course, but you so graciously spent time with us and helped us understand what's metaverse, what's going on, and then with your ecosystem of friends, and you created. I remember going to a few of those events you had online because that was, gosh, was it 2 years ago? I can't remember now.
Yeah, that's when I started. I created the marthaverse.
Yes.
Also, I think it's always important when you do things that you just don't talk about it and make it theoretical, but that you are exploring it yourself. So, in particular, now as I'm working with a lot of different clients, I can invite them to the virtual world very easy, like I did with you, and they can experience it also very easily. So, since now, I started with, let's say, doing this on my own. I now also have started different things in the AI field, as you can imagine. And AI is so going wild that you are like, oh my God, this is the next one. I wake up. So, future tech is really something which continues to amaze me, and also continues to amaze me in the sense of what we can change and how we can do better. And that's really my focus: how we can do better, how we can bring more diversity and inclusion. And I know that's also very, very close to your heart.
It is. Did I say I love everything you do? I think I said that. I'm just going to say it again. I love
Oh
everything
my
you
God.
do. I like how you're always, I know the human centric word is so overused, but that's you. Every time when I see someone talking about using technology for good, bringing more people in, using technology to improve our healthy well being, and I always think of you, like you embody all of that and more. The stuff that you share on social so graciously with all of us. I appreciate it. We need more good humans like you. So catch us up to date. Like what's latest and greatest with Martha? What's going on in the universe?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things going on, and some people might be confused by all the stuff I'm doing. But that's really a bit me. So if I put it into structure and a little bit of pillars, I love the creative side, which I now can really live like I always wanted. And this was always part of my executive role, also when I was at UBS and other companies, to play on the creative side, in particular digital transformation. So now I have joined my nephew. He's mid-30s, and he has his own digital agency. And since over 12, 15 months, he now also converted this more into AI. So a lot of video content, as you know, a lot of digital avatars are digital twins are now the new, you can say, the new me and what you can create. And it's fantastic because we can create together. So he has a lot of big clients. I can bring clients, startups, and bigger ones, so that we can work together. And he has a whole team So I'm more or less scouting, looking, also not for clients per se, but what are the new tools? So we're exchanging, we can discuss. And for me, this is an exploration ground, which is just amazing. So when I create, obviously it doesn't have the quality then his team or our team, I should say, have it. And the company is called Crea, Creative. .com, so but Crea with a K, so it's a German company. He lives in my hometown where my whole family lives, and it's really fantastic to have this opportunity for me also to collaborate with someone I love, I trust, and we do things together with someone also who is much younger than me. So I think that's also good because age becomes and we talked about it on LinkedIn, age becomes just a number, and it's more about your mindset. And you had certain experiences where people think, oh, you may be too old. Every one of us had this at our age, I would say, terrible to say. So that's the first part. So create with no particular number one, but it's creative part. Then the second part is education, which I absolutely love. Always in my life, I have done it. So at university, I was also teaching when I did my PhD, and I loved it. I was even thinking about becoming a professor, and then I thought, no, it's too close. I'm too close in one bucket. I want to do more. So I tested diplomatic service, and then I ventured into Hong Kong, and Hong Kong was really my playground to start my career in financial services. And the second part, education, the book is part of this. We have this fast future fundamental faculty where we talk about the interconnectivity of all the different trends, future trends we see. And at the same time, I think we have spoken about it before, we have a big convergence. So you have these things happening, and it's really, really important that we understand how you can almost say this puzzle come together in when you see the different pieces. How does a Picasso how does it come, how will the picture look? And we don't know what the future looks like. That is also new because we have another big revolution. It's also a word which is totally overused, but at the same time it is there. And I'm sure you know ARK Investment. They write this super cool reports, big ideas. And last year in 2023, they've talked about the big convergence having a 230 trillion opportunity because you connect basically like your brain connects AI, when that was already last year when it was not that hyped. AI connects everything. It connects mobility. It connects healthcare, it connects digital currencies, it connects everything we know, and they have also a beautiful image to reflect that. So it's very, very clear that even in finance, if you are a banker and if you come from the background I have, and when I talk to banks, I always show the entire, I try to show the entire future world, which maybe what is happening, but if you show them what is already happening now and what clients have as experiences, they are almost in shock because they have such sometimes a gap and distance to this every day. And it's not only ChatGPT, even though in the last 24 hours we had another, I would say, major breakthrough. They're just not having this relation to it, because if, in my view, banking, if you are just building on banking expertise, this is not enough to really cater for what you have to cater for as a proper bank.
I like what you just said. It reminds me of a recent conversation I had with another friend of mine, Diana, where we talked about the future of education, right? So if we think about how education has traditionally been delivered to students, how we learn, we are very focused on a discipline, right? We're focused in engineering, we're focused in the literature, we're focused in the arts, we are focused in, I don't know, business, finance, what have you. That's how we were trained to learn in school. That's how I was trained to learn in school. And mine was very, very heavily STEM focused. We didn't have any arts, we didn't have any literature, we didn't have any writing classes, nothing. And we try to project out into how our world is right now, to your point, right? For example, banking is just a part of the world. There is, and that's I think what I love the most about what you share in your philosophy is you love everything else. There's so many different components in our life as we look towards it's all, may I borrow your word, part of a puzzle. So it makes me wonder, should we then relook education, reframe it in a way to help students to be more well-rounded, right? Instead of just looking at this is how you're supposed to design, I don't know, a car engine, right? What are the different things you need to think about as you put that car engine together? What's the impact of the environment? What has been the history, the evolution of transportation, and all of those? So we have more appreciation on how things come about, right? Because I feel like we're so siloed.
Absolutely. I mean, we're always talking about silos in companies, but the bigger picture is we have silos in all verticals. So just this week, I had a big master class at the university and this class was getting a praxis reflection. So what do you experience? And it was blockchain. So we had an expert on blockchain before me, having nearly 1 hour, so 30 minutes with questions on deep dive into blockchain, everything you can imagine, deep, 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 deep. So I was already, oh my God, because I did talk about blockchain, but in totally different way. So I talked about the reference blockchain AI Web3. So how does this come about? How does this belong to each other? Then, and they all came from the banking background, yeah. So I, exactly to your point, I made a big point, and I'm not sure it came across to all of them, but I made a big point. You have to look at the almost entire world and what is happening to understand and also cater for the needs which people have around you, but also your clients. So when your clients have experience, like we all know, it started with the iPad and then the smartphone, we can just touch screen. Yeah, for sure, they want to have their bank on the iPhone. Yeah, so it's the same here. If I have glasses and can see everything within augmented reality, and I can talk to the glass and I can communicate, like now with the new Meta Orion, yeah, then for sure this might even replace the smartphone. So I have to know about it, so to really understand what's going on, even though it might not be today, it might be already in a year, because the speed is no longer exponential. The speed is what we have never seen before. You can see that when Jensen Huang speaks about NVIDIA and speaks about computer power 1,000 times more. And you are sitting there and can't even imagine 1,000 times more. Okay, you know, we
Yeah,
haven't even spoken about quantum computing. What 125 years a computer needs, a quantum computing can do in seconds. And
absolutely.
our brain just doesn't understand it. So we have to just see how we cope with this overwhelming information. But that's why I feel education is really even more important, because we need to get as many people with us as we can, so that we don't leave people behind. It's not only the people who cannot afford education, even people who can afford education might not be in this flow, as you said, because education is so old fashioned. It's not collaborative. It doesn't connect.
I think that's the connected part. I feel like I actually just started a new piece the other day. I started off with I feel like we're living in a bubble. We're so not connected, right? With each other and with the rest of the world because we feel so comfortable living in our own little world, for lack of better words, where we know access to different things. And I do sometimes wonder if technology in some ways is connecting us more than before, but also disconnecting us from everything else because you said something. Technology is going beyond exponential speed and it is going so fast. I think at some point my brain just shuts down.
Explodes.
It
Explodes.
explodes, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like I
it's
can't
already
deal with
now.
this. It's too
Yeah.
much, right? So you mentioned meta glasses. You mentioned, the new experiences, the new vector that we might be exposed to information. I have two questions. So tell us a little bit more about that in relation to what you wrote in the book, and then tell us more like what we would expect, because I think at some point, I don't know about you, but I do. I limit myself to how much I stay online because I can't do it anymore now. If we start having these glasses, and I saw someone posted recently on social that they created a beta program where with the Meta glasses, it can fetch information and with facial recognition, like I'll be walking down the street, I'll be like, oh, I see you. Wait, you look familiar. What was your name? And immediately the glass can go fetch the information, come back and tell you who you are, and send me information, everything about you. So, in one hand, it's like, okay, this is like sci-fi, but it apparently is real. You can do this now. And then on the other hand, is what is the line between being too creepy and being helpful?
Oh, there's a very fine line to strike. And I think you mentioned sci-fi. And sci-fi also, in my master class, I said, but are we not going down the road Ready Player One? And sci-fi has shown, it still shows us, Star Trek, everything shows us where could we go and what the future could be. And that's the beauty about science fiction. I love science fiction, and I think you also love Star Treks. I've been watching science fiction very, very early on when I was very young, because my brother is 5 years older and he loved it. So coincidentally, I was part of it, and we are still exchanging in the family, and we talk about everything. Yeah. And the more we have, as you say, this tech connection, the more, I think, on the other hand, we start appreciating the personal contact. So before the podcast, we started about talking about the handwritten notes. And it's proven that our current brain, at least how it's wired, and might not be that well developed, is still, also for the younger generation, still needs this connect of haptic, and then telling us, okay, this is how I feel and this is what it makes to me. And my best memories, obviously, come from when I meet people, when I'm in nature, when I can reconnect. These are my best memories. And that's why it's very important to strike this balance with the opportunities technology can give us. So I can, in particular now what we wrote in the book, I can create a meta mobility, which means places, time become irrelevant. I can be with my digital twin at any place in any scenario. And my digital twin can also, I have created one for me, whom I'm training just also to explore and test now. I can give a lot of knowledge to my digital twin, which I personally don't have. So when you work now, or now in this podcast, I could give you my digital twin, in the sense also I say, this is my character, this is my personality. You can ask me any question because I have the wealth of everything around me. And I guarantee you, with the quality we see now, you have difficulties to differentiate. So there's no longer this uncanny valley effect, because they get so human. But what is missing when we are not, and that's why I loved when you say we have to meet in person, and that's why I also love to go to these events where I meet people. There is a special energy in the room when you meet people and when you are together. And this kind of energy is really hard to create, even in the virtual world. With glasses, you feel you are together, and your brain gets tricked because your brain thinks you are there. So this for me are always bridges. If I can't be in Hong Kong, if I can't be with my mother, or if also for stress scenarios where I can help people with mental illness to to go out of their scenario, to go out of the war scenario, to see something different. And it has a super effect on the brain. But we should always remember this is not a replacement. This is a bridge to, to opportunities, to possibilities we can take to make it more human, to make it more connected, because otherwise we might sit just in our home because we can't travel to all these places. And you know how much you miss your family in Hong Kong. Yeah. So how beautiful it is if you feel like you are all in a room together, and you can do that with the Apple Vision Pro, for example. It feels so, wow, they are there, but you can't touch them. But your brain thinks, okay, they are there, and you have already a certain energy. But it's not the same like when you cook for them, when you have a meal together. I know you love cooking. I also love cooking. So when I see all these robots cooking, I think, yeah, this is great to a certain extent. But the love, the energy from a home cooked meal is irreplaceable.
It's so true. I think I look at, things like cooking or getting together, sharing a meal. I'm a big fan of sharing meals. To me, I think it's a ritual. Sharing meal is if I share a meal with someone, that means I actually like you enough to actually want to spend time with you, right? It's the experience that matters. It's very intimate, and I don't think you can actually replace it with a machine because it's I don't know how to describe it. Okay, now that's going to sound really squishy, but you get what I mean. Like
Yeah,
everything
yeah,
else is the
100%.
right, the sentiment and the experience. You can't replace it. But I love what you say that it's a bridge. And I remember in one of our very early conversation, this is at least 2 years now, if not more, you were the first one who told me about the possibility of using such tech experience to help doctors who are in a remote land to learn how to do surgeries, to learn how to do things that you otherwise can't do because you're not physically together. So I do love the promise of tech, and I do appreciate you always bringing that back to us and saying, hey, what about this? What about this? So tell us, what did you write? What did you write in this book for those who had not been able to read yet, The Fast Future Blur? Tell us more about your chapter.
So my chapter is, I should say our chapter, because also that's the beauty of the book. We are 12 faculty members, and we have been sharing our experiences and trying to find these interconnected points. It wasn't very difficult because I've been working with Christine. She is a futurist, visionary, and very knowledgeable in mobility. So really e-cars as we know it, but also what other means we can use. And we went far beyond when we were exploring it, just saying it's transportation from goods and you go from A to B. I would almost say we ended up very comfortably in smart cities, because that's where all and everything comes together. And the interesting point was there that when we talked about smart cities, and that's basically our chapter is built up, you have difference where it started, where it's going, and then it comes to smart city, where it's like, wow, you have the interconnected world in smart cities. And like Singapore, as you know, they have a focus on healthcare. Then you have Tampere, little city in Finland, where they talk about the cognitive city. So all the technology, to take an example, if you walk down the street, you have a wearable, and all of a sudden you get a heart attack, and can be any age. You have a sensor which immediately, oh, this person is due to have a heart attack. So you have immediate help around you. The dark side of it is for sure super surveillance, privacy of data, and how do you deal with it. And this is really in our book, we're trying to strike this balance between this super innovation, at the same time interconnectivity. So we were talking about the virtual worlds, how to use it, the mobility, the smart cities, because you also work with digital twins of the city, of the people, so everything can be twinned in a sense. And we were talking about healthcare, because like now, so all the other parts in the book like Efi wrote about AI, or AI as a native, or we have leadership in there, we have blockchain. Everything comes together for me really in this smart city world where you can see BCI, brain chip interfaces. Yeah, you don't have to, people think, okay, I have to now implant it like Neuralink is. And you have seen, I've posted also about the blind side, their latest invention, when people who are blind can see. And you think like, hang on, how is that happening? Yeah. But you don't even have to implant it. A university in China now has done something like an earplug, yeah, which is a brain chip interface. So things will get much more, much more kinder to also humanity and more friendly to us. At the same time, I can see a lot of alarm bells, because the more friendly, the more human it gets, the more we don't notice anymore. And what about the question we had before, the social connection? But think about it, always try to find, not always try to find the bright side only, but try to find, how can this help us? How can it make it more accessible, like in education, people with disability, personalized programs, people who can't move, people, there was last year a woman who, for example, had a heart stroke, she couldn't talk. So she got brain chip interface, she could articulate herself via digital avatar. She can speak to her families, they were all in tears. It's for sure, because all of a sudden you can socially reconnect to a connection which you didn't have before. And virtual training that you mentioned, you don't have all the experts in a country like Brazil, for example. There was an operation of a co-joint twins, and Brazil doesn't have the best doctors. So they trained and simulated in virtual worlds with doctors from London. And again, healthcare connection, virtual worlds, mobility, because you can't move from Brazil to London. So it's meta mobility, it's thinking beyond time and place. This is really what our chapter is about. And what I love about the book, first, it goes in all direction, but in a very structured way. And then, which was difficult, because once you start talking like we're talking, how do we make this tangible? So we have lots of examples, and if you described it already, we have frameworks. So we're trying to say, we don't know where the future is going. So in terms of the Picasso, what kind of Picasso will we paint? But we do know that we need very strong frameworks to get us there, and to get us, in particular, executive leaders, to transform and to get to this mindset of transformation, and give them tools. And these tools are not just AI tools, these tools are using AI, blockchain, metaverse, but using frameworks which help us to understand, to structure, also in particular in strategy, to get to the next level and implement in my business what I would call the foresight of where your business is going.
So we take that one step, right? You talked about the mindset of transformation. You talked about the tools. You talked about interconnectedness of all the pieces in this world. How would we in finance be able to use some of that? Because I'm sitting here thinking, we talk a lot about how healthcare and our personal finance are connected, right? We need to have healthy well-being to have financial security. We talk a lot about how policy and everything else and economy influence how businesses thrive, small business in particular. So a lot of these, there are a lot of points, but how do we bring all of that together? You talked about digital twins. See, now I learned something new. I didn't know you have a digital twin. So how would I, as someone who work in banking, for example, make use of any of these tools?
I think there are so many different layers, and it's not very difficult. I know this because my third pillar, apart from education creation, is also advising. And it's very good because I can use the educational part, we can have workshops, and we can explore. So the simplest part is for relationship managers, they do a lot of educations with their clients, and they do produce a lot of things where they feel maybe not so comfortable on video camera, but they have this knowledge and want to talk to their clients, and they want to talk in different languages. So if you have an international base, so you can use your digital twin very easily to talk in 50 languages, and it feels real. Obviously, you should be transparent. And usually the clients we work with, they love it because they can talk in the mother tongue, and you can even have a digital twin of you who answers questions. So you can make this as part of your brand. You can say, we want, this is my brand, my personality, or is this bank X, is JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and so on and so forth. And obviously Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, they have already been working with documentation and put this all through AI. This is, for me, is a standard. This is not the fancy part. The real fancy part comes beyond also digital twins, when basically people then ask me, I can have my digital twin advising my client, and then I go to the beach. How great is this? Future of work. But think about it even more. The next step, which is already here, is agents. So agents are the most amazing to me. So everyone has now kind of AI assistant, and now last 24 hours, Open AI ChatGPT has a collaboration tool called Canvas. I tested it last night, and I was like, oh my God, I'm exploding now. So what is this? I can talk, I can comment, I can collaborate as like a co-worker. Totally game changing. Yeah. So I sent a few emails to other people. Have you tested? Have you tested? And I saw this morning a lot of people posted on LinkedIn. I posted something different because I wanted to post something about women, which was more important for me than ChatGPT. But to the example agent, I think Andreessen Horowitz has written a fantastic article built on money on autopilot. So imagine that your agent, so you have no clue about financials, like most of the people, they don't want to talk about their finances. They don't want to talk about death and finances. So probably in the same category. And they don't want to be educated. They just want to have someone to take care of it. And if I say someone, this will be your agent, because your agent knows your situation. Your agent knows your healthcare situation. So maybe you have problems with your health, so you need money faster. Your agent knows your age. Your agent has all the data. Let's assume it's all in a digital wallet, or we have all the tools. And we also have already agents, and we have super apps. So I know everyone says super apps are something different, but if you think about it, you can do investments already with agents. So you have the Robinhood, you have the Betterment, you have all of this. You can take loans. Then you can do savings, and you have also already applications like Bank, where they know your saving situation. We have not seen yet what you were referring to, health, your personal family situation. This is normally only for high net worth individuals and for ultras. But now you can have it for everyone because your agent does know everything. The risk of it, again, privacy, data, then the agent takes decisions for you. 2 days ago, also OpenAI made another announcement on the developer day where you could see how this could be evolving, asking your agent to get strawberries and whatever, and the agent called someone else to get it. So the agent takes actions on your behalf. It's not an assistant. That's a big, big difference. And it's not a chatbot anymore. It's you. It's your extended arm, you can say. So these agents have a superpower, and that superpower can also be misused. That superpower can be hacked. But this is a concept which for payments, investments, savings is called by Andreessen Horowitz. They coined a bit the word money on autopilot. They have also done a great article, I think, which demonstrates how this could work just for finance, but why not extend it even wider? If you look at Revolut, Revolut also has insurance cover for pets. They do travel, they do all sorts of things. So this is a new finance. Finance is no longer finance. And finance is not my relationship manager knows everything. finances, my agent knows everything for everyone.
Wow. I'm just going to pause right here. I don't exactly know how to react. That's the one thing I find I struggle a little bit. And that's why I lean on you with what you share, because there's so much happening. I can't keep track of everything. And it feels like, especially for the last 12 to 18 months, things are flying so fast at such a speed that one side of me is like, wow, this is really cool, right? Just so like recently the ability for us to create a very realistic sounding audio, right, for podcasts, when Ify shared it, and I'm like, oh my God, okay, that sounded really real. Um, to now, and I am always dumbfounded, but the other side of me is also from a guardrail perspective, right? Especially in the US, where legislation is complete cheesecloth is everywhere. It makes it feel like we are giving all of these ability, and in one way, people are free to experiment with it, but then on the other way, who is taking care of the consumers, right? As you pointed out in the book, there are dark side to innovation. We need to balance it out. And I think I feel like the EU has done an amazing job in that regards, right? Looking at data privacy rights and consumer rights. But are we supposed to be setting guardrail? Who's supposed to be setting guardrail? Or are we just going to say, consumer A, be careful of your agent who might just go out and do things for you, right? That feels like the big question and the elephant in the room that I don't know if we have an answer for.
We don't, I think I have an answer for it, but it's not what is happening right now. Let's say it this way. So what you would expect is that you have a global, let's say, consortium of people, major stakeholders, and there are different groups, obviously, who come together, where Sam Altman is also very active in those groups, and Mark Zuckerberg is active, but you don't have this really on a global level. You have United Nations putting something up, you have California rules on deepfake, which are overruled, then so that you have also, this is also like a pieces of the puzzle. But at the same time, as you said, and as we were just discussing, it goes like boom. So it's exploding, and you almost feel there are no guardrails, there are no limits, and tech is far advanced from what regulation is. So that is not anything new, as we know. I mean, it's always the argument when we heard the cars, there were no regulations, and they were unfortunately a lot of accidents and stuff, and we got behind it. But I feel we have a very different situation here, because we don't have these silos of single innovation, and we don't have time. Time is very different. Speed is very different. Innovation is convergence, we have talked about, and interconnected. Yeah, so the answer is, I think there is a huge, and you see that also on this, a lot of discussions, there is a huge gap on guardrails. And banks struggle with this too, because when I was executive, obviously I pushed very hard innovation. When we were talking about platforms, we are talking about content. How can we connect content to investment proposals? Banks have a lot of regulations. But guess what? Someone else comes along like Apple. I'm not saying they have no regulation, but they have a platform and they have an ecosystem. So Apple is more than a bank, than any other bank is, but they're not regulated as a bank because they put everything together very nicely in pieces, and they do it for the consumer. Now in the EU, for example, we have Apple Intelligence is not yet with us because we have regulation here. Is it good or bad? There's also, again, it's a good side, but there's also a bad side, because we in Europe, and I'm in Switzerland, Switzerland partially leans on the EU regulation, we are far behind what we see in US and China. So from a competitive point of view, again, we need global solutions, but there are no global solutions. It's almost like every country does experiment. And when we see OpenAI, Meta, Grok, Elon Musk, all US, or we see China, ByteDance, WeChat, and Europe, we have little Mistral is another AI company in France. And you think like, hey, great. And we had Black Forest for Flux, I think they're even from Germany. And there you have this little sparks like, hello, we are also here. But then they get to the boundaries. And I'm not saying boundaries are not good, but we don't have, from the point of view of innovation, the same equal playing ground.
It is very different because I think the last quote unquote big interesting thing, for example, that happened in the UK was DeepMind, right? And then DeepMind got bought by Google. And we have a lot of talent that's coming out from universities in Europe, but you're absolutely right in terms of the ability to bring that knowledge, commercialize it, create startups, all of that. It seems like there's something that's constraining, right? And that could be the capital, that could be regulations, it could be many things, but it is very, very lopsided. It is very obvious too. If you look at the venture landscape, you look at startup landscape, you look at all of that. And I cannot agree with you more that we need some sort of a global entity. But it goes back to something I've been repeating so much lately is intentions drive outcomes, right? When it depends on where the intention for the innovation is intention being a nonprofit creating good for the humans? And we've seen that story. We've seen how that changed.
Yeah, it
Is
changed. The whole leadership went, and now everyone is like, just every day we have a new rollout from OpenAI, and no one is talking anymore about what happened. What happened when everyone is leaving OpenAI?
yeah,
What's the story behind it? We have no transparency. It seems like, Sam Altman is the best leader we have seen in the world. Yes, no, because why is everyone leaving? Is there a story we haven't gotten yet to?
yeah.
Um, it's a bit like WikiLeaks, where also, oh my God,
It
after
it
40
is
years you get
scary.
released, you will never know the full story, like Edward Snowden, all are, not stories which are one way and not stories you can say right, wrong, yes, whatever, because also threatening the US security, but you feel like, oh my God, you have very, very big players and then you have us.
You have big players, you have not so much transparency. We don't have so much regulation. We don't really have the guardrails. The future is uncertain, is wild, is crazy, is blurry, is fast. If I go back to your book, this absolutely resonates. It is fast and it's blurry. And I don't know about you, Martha. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the future will hold, but I'm grateful for you. And I'm grateful, for you spending time with us. I think I'm going to look towards the sequel because I have a feeling that you guys are going to keep writing chapters and those chapters are going to keep changing. So
I think it changes definitely, and I hope we continue writing. But thanks a lot for giving me the opportunity to, yeah, to try to also share with what I'm seeing in my craziness sometimes when I'm in my bubble, and the only person is my husband and my dog taking me out from time to time and saying, okay, now finish. Because the other point is, which I think is incredibly important, just to round this up so that we are all part of this. You can have a big ask to leaders that we discussed is one thing, but the second thing is for everyone, you need to spend time on educating yourself. So it's not only in the position I am in right now, where I can comfortably do this 3-4 hours a day. I've always done this in my entire life when working also. That's why I love to work with consultant, because not they give me the best advice. they have such a knowledge base. You can go to their labs. I mean, we have the Google lab here, we have Microsoft HoloLenses, we have also here IBM Quantum Innovation. Look for where you can go also with your team as a leader, and just explore it, experience it. So it's not just in writing and you don't study it, but explore it yourself.
Yes. And don't stop learning. Stay curious, right? And you
Yes.
are a perfect example of it. So thank you so much for spending time with us, Martha. And I look forward to seeing what's next coming from you. And hopefully we will make it happen 2025. I have a feeling we are going to meet in person. So thank you
It would
so
be
much
wonderful.
again.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks you so much.
All right. And for the rest of our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of One Vision. We'll talk to you all next week.